Good evening, everybody. I'll call the August 14th, 2024 meeting of the Kickapoo Area School Board to order. And we'll begin, Marla, please, roll call.
Janet Mathis. Here. Earl Wallace.
Here.
Isaac Wallace.
Here.
Rich James.
Here.
Bo Schrader.
Here.
Peggy McCormick. Here. Scott Walter.
Here. And I'm sure everybody's noticed Kim is not here this evening. Is she joining us? Oh.
You're blocking in a tree.
Hey, Kim, can you hear us?
I can.
Can you do the affirmation of proof of publication of the agenda?
I sure can. I, Kimberly Johnson, hereby certify that notice of the Kickapoo Area Schools regular school board meeting was caused to be published in the Epitaph News 8/7/24 and posted on billboards in the following places on 8/8/24. The Kickapoo K-12 School Building, Citizens First Bank of Viola, and Viola Post Office.
Hey, thank you, Kim. I'd like to go on record to let everybody know I told you to throw your cell phone and laptop in the lake and forget about tonight's meeting, but kudos for joining us. I hope the mosquitoes aren't too bad.
Yeah,
Item 3. Item 3, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
Motion by Earl, seconded by Rich to approve tonight's agenda. Any discussion or amendments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Anybody sign up from the public, Marla, to speak tonight? Any board members have any items they'd like to throw out on the table for discussion? All righty. Then we'll move on to expense vouchers and receipts, item 5.
I had a question, well, my question is on one of the checks, so. Before that.
I had a couple of quick P card things if we want to go in order. Just a lot of P card charges by staff during the summer. Are they teaching summer class? I'm just wondering what the.
Yes, so a lot of it was for their summer school classes, but since it's the new fiscal year, they're also already prepping for the school year.
Oh,
But a vast majority of these were for summer school,
okay.
just little odds and ends for them.
And then there was one by Kent for $17,651 to some government.
That was for computers, we're in that cycle of replacing our Chromebooks as they get old, and we're able to use ESSER funds for that this year still.
Oh, okay.
So just a good way to use that up before it's gone.
That's all I had.
Mine was on a check to First Dakota something or other, said policy renewal and 32,000, I'm assuming some kind of insurance, but I didn't recognize First Dakota.
Yes, so that is our workers' comp policy. This is our second year with them. Yeah, just for workers' comp, making sure everyone stays healthy.
Oh, I did want to mention one thing on receipts too. I see we got checks from Lafarge for the spring sports and the fall and winter sports, fall and winter combined.
Yes,
Can we maybe talk to them about more timely payment? I think those expenses from like last August, we shouldn't have to carry it all year long. They should be paying that more timely.
yes, that's the plan going forward this year is we shouldn't have to wait until July of the next year for all of the expenses for the prior year. So that is a conversation that will be had.
And the other part of that is, when do we get the $5,000? When do they pay that?
That's part of that spring payment. That's built in.
It only added up to, unless there was a third one that I missed, the two that are there only seem to match the spring, the sports thing that you had. I could be wrong, but maybe
So,
check that, I guess.
And I can talk about this more later, but that 5,000 is included within that spring sports. It's on the high
Oh,
school
okay.
track
All right.
expenses. So it's
If
kind of
it's
hidden
included
in
as
there.
expenses, it's, okay.
details, Janet, we gotta dig in. Nobody has any other questions or comments about any of the reports? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
No, go ahead.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Rich, second by Janet to approve this month's expense vouchers and receipts. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 6, the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from our July 10th meeting. A number of fundraising requests. I won't read through them, but you have them there on your notes page, the agenda notes. The 24-25 extracurricular advisors. A couple of nice donations to the school that I want to read. Kathy Schlicht donated $8,000 for a potential digital sign. And Kickapoo Focus, $2,020 for playground equipment. So, of course, that's very much appreciated. And we do have a bus driver resignation. Apparently, it's been turned in from Hannah White.
Can I ask who or what is Kickapoo Focus?
That was
What's
our
that?
previous KTO, what am I trying to say? The PTO that had
PTO, yeah.
existed years ago.
Okay.
And I spent it already. We had a sandbox,
Thank you.
we got a sandbox coming, so.
Pretty fancy sandbox for that price.
It's pretty big.
You got lots of white.
Well,
sand.
it's not the whole 2,000.
So I had kind of had that same question. Could we get a little update? Who's involved in that? Do they meet regularly? What are the fundraising? I don't know the details of.
I'm not sure any of that. I think it was Vicky Olson that reached out to donate the money, but I'm
So,
not sure.
yeah, years ago, Vicky had actually organized a PTO group that was in existence, and they had raised these funds, and that group had kind of closed out, so she had these funds and wanted to donate them to a cause for Kickapoo. So it was a parent group, probably 10 years ago, that was in existence.
Okay. So is it gonna remain active or was it just? sort
No,
of a-
they're
done.
They're
That's
done.
just done.
Yeah.
They had
So
like-
but they had funds apparently, so this was nice.
Leftover. Okay.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda. I'll second it.
Motion by Isaac, second by Earl to approve tonight's consent agenda. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
I want to make one more comment, sorry, Scott. I want to commend the art teacher for these fundraising ideas. This is great. I
Yeah.
mean, nice creative things that seem to be fit right in with their curriculum even, so it was refreshing to see something like that that was a little different.
Agreed. Thank you, Janet. Okay, moving on. We've got an approved consent agenda, so item 7, the action agenda. 3 items tonight, including awarding bids for meat, snow removal, and bread and milk for the coming school year. And there were bids included in your packet. Unless I missed something, we had a single bid for
Just one for each.
each of these.
I reached out to Creamery Creek for meat a couple of times. Last time she said they'd get a bid and I told her when I needed it by and I never heard anything afterwards. And then CNC just did not give me a bid. I contacted them a couple times and
Okay.
so. And there's no other bread company.
So the bids all look good from memory, right in line with,
It's who we've always gone with as well.
yeah, okay. There are no questions about any of those 4 bids. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the bids we received for the meat and snow. For the meat, the snow removal and bread and milk.
I'll second that.
Motion by Earl, second by Peggy to approve the bids as listed. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes, and then we've got another estimate for the purchase of a school bus. That's many times in the past, and it seems each time we bring it back, it increases a little bit in price,
Yeah.
but
And this again is the same process that we went through last year and consistent with our system of keeping our fleet up to date.
so what's there's two, I don't know if they're separate buses or,
Yeah.
One's a 25, one's a 26.
They're both.
oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yes,
Jeff just is recommended, he'd like to go with the 2026 since
yep,
it's newer, there's,
It's $4,200,
Yeah.
I mean, on the whole scheme of things, plus it's a year newer and it's ready to go.
And do we have, like, we get a grant or something for that, right?
So that goes into our high cost transportation, which we don't find that out until June. But buying a bus every year has helped us receive that money, because not all schools do. But they make it very difficult because they don't tell you until like the beginning to middle of June, and you have to have it spent by June 30th.
And they really can't tell you though, because it's an actual calculation based on number of miles driven and the number of students or something. There's two factors, it's a division, and they don't actually have those numbers until the school year is basically almost over.
Yeah,
So
so,
it's not like they try to keep it, it's one of the things that actually makes sense.
yeah, and I think that was one of the reasons why we decided to purchase the bus mid-year last year, was because the year prior to that, it was down to the wire to get the bus on property. Like, I think we got it the last day of the month, and we have to have it on property for it to count for that year. So that's why we started trying to get them earlier than waiting until June when we knew that number.
So, but just for my own benefit, we actually used last year's funds, the previous fiscal year, to pay for the bus that we got in what, December or whenever it was that it came.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
So this year we'll shell out more and hope that, okay.
Mhm.
And I agree that we need to keep our fleet up, but keep in mind, we also cut a bus route and we've been very consistently buying all along, so, you know, it puts us in better shape when we get to the point that, you know, maybe there's gonna have to be a year come up for service, and hopefully we can keep it going. And Jeff does a pretty good job when he gets rid of things, it's not just junk it in, he also looks around to make sure if he can sell it and get a little more out of it and stuff.
so the last few years were, it's basically a bus a year.
Yep.
So we've got, how many buses set, 8? 1, 7 and a backup?
I was thinking 10.
It used to be 10, but I'm not sure
Yeah.
if it's that much anymore or not, and because that's been a number of years back.
We're down 1, we talked last month about.
We were, because didn't he actually get rid of?
Two.
Yeah.
Right.
So
But you need-
down one.
You
So
need
they-
more buses and routes because of athletics. So
Oh,
you
yeah,
run
yeah.
kids.
Well, but there are some schools that don't necessarily, I mean, I remember way back, or it hasn't been that, well, it's been a while back, where like one of the schools in the conference couldn't play junior high and middle school sports at that earlier time, that a lot of schools did. They had to wait till buses came back in before they could take their kids on trips, so.
There's a
I mean,
cost.
at some point.
But
And
I guess,
extracurriculars get to be a problem, but I think that maybe Jeff needs to be talked to work with it a little bit and insist staff is gonna have to get better about, this is just from personal. And a bus driver's spouse for years of him, Jeff not finding out what people's needs are until the last minute, so, you know, it could. As far as some of that goes, the staff could help them out some too, and.
I guess the question I had was that we're kind of staggering this, so we've got a bus that's new, a bus that's a year old, a bus that's 2. Is that consistent? We don't have like 4 7-year-old buses.
Not
That's
anymore.
good. So good, this is a
But
nice,
didn't we end up like that one time?
He used to.
okay.
It's tough.
So Jeff recommends the 2026, which 2024, how do we have 2020?
I know, I really love it. Does he know when this will?
Because it probably won't be made until,
That's what I was gonna say, is this actually already manufactured and everything? or-
yeah, I mean, it probably might go
But if
in
we don't-
production now, but it's gonna be a 26 model. I mean, that's kind of way,
Cars do that, yeah.
well, the truck I got for work, they ordered it 3 years before we finally got it, but it was a 2024 truck, even though it was ordered, because it didn't started getting made
Oh,
So we're not gonna take delivery on this bus till next year.
next year. You probably won't get it until next spring. Right?
It could be.
As long as it's here before June 30th.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I see,
Mhm. Yeah,
and I'm sure Jeff,
I mean,
Yeah, I'm sure.
they're probably getting more caught up with all their production now, but they're still out there a little bit.
well, Jeff recommends the 2026, so unless anybody has any concerns, I'll entertain a motion to approve purchase.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Earl, second by Bo, to approve the purchase of the 2026 International. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Last item on the action agenda then is replacing a chiller unit in the IT room.
Yeah, we met Billy's ground here before this meeting and decided to go with Heath Wallace on putting down in the boiler rooms where they'll put it, and right now it's up overhead in the IT room and creates a lot of heat, so it's gonna get put down in the boiler room. And DJ said if it'll help in the winter time to heat that, they won't have to heat down there, but if it gets too hot in the summertime, there's still ventilation grills down there, they can put a fan in and push some of the heat out, so that was our concern, and that way we don't have to penetrate the roof to hole in the roof, so it was about $1,000 less. Go with the one from Heath, and as DJ said, he's local, so if need be, he can get here quicker than an hour away, so. I mean,
And what was this bid?
8,700, I think it was.
Yep.
Remember right?
Yep.
Yeah, 87, the other was 96.90. So we recommend to go with one from Heath, so.
Other questions or comments? Entertain the motion Isaac was just about to make.
Make a motion to approve the bid from Heath Walls. I'll second.
Motion by Isaac, second by Bo, to approve purchase of the new chiller through Heath Wallace. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. That's the end of our action agenda. Item 8, then informational agenda, 4 items tonight. Some discussion items, including, and this is in your packet, our quarterly budget report. And Allison, are you gonna step us through that tonight?
I'm gonna give it my best shot.
I'm sure it'll be great.
If not, we'll stumble through it together. So for the most part, we did stay under budget or right around where we were expecting to come in. There were a few areas that we did go over. One in particular was that co-curricular area, so our sporting events. That purchase services that went over, that's the budget that we pay our officials out of. And then we just kind of estimate what we think it's gonna be, but if we have more sports that go further in the season to regionals, sectionals, and we host those, that increases that, that dollar amount that we have to spend. But we did look at that this year and try and update it a little more, just because with some sports, we have been consistently going further in the season. So we tried to update that and align it with a more realistic of what we think it will be. And that's the same situation for the non-capital objects. That's the supply budget for the sports teams. Those hadn't been updated in quite a while, and a lot of them were outdated, like some of them were $200, and you really can't buy a whole lot with $200 anymore. So we did look at that and look at what they were buying to see what was a more feasible amount. So those will be updated in the 2024-25 year going forward. Another point that I want to touch on is our insurance expenses. Those came in under budget, and I did talk to Melissa about this because I wasn't sure why. But I came to find out that we got our renewals really late in the year last year. So those were just the projections that she had put in the budget. And she projected higher, and then when we got them in, it just wasn't adjusted there. So that's why those came in quite a bit lower than what we were expecting. And then I'm gonna bounce back up to the computer expenses. So we went over in our purchase services, that's the budget that we pay TC Networks out of, and some of our protective services, like our LineWise that we got to help monitor the school site to make sure no one's going on anywhere they shouldn't be. So we went slightly over with that, and that could have been that additional LineWise, just the changing of services there. And then, does anyone have any questions on that first page that they want me to go over?
Just the negative balance in the Fund 10, the very top line.
So basically, does that mean we dug into fund balance for
Yeah.
$32,000?
Yep, we went into
So
fund
we
balance.
overspent by $32,000
So we're
on
going
a
into fund balance. Sure.
whatever $1 million budget.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else on page 1? If not, we can go to page 2. This page overall looks really good. We stayed under budget in pretty much every one of these areas. The only one we did go over a little bit was in that transportation expenses in our non-capital objects and capital objects. Capital objects could be from the vehicles that were purchased this year. We did get 1 new bus and 2 new SUVs. And originally we weren't expecting to get the 2 SUVs, but we only went over by $3,200 with the 2 SUVs, so that's pretty good. And then in our non-capital objects, that's just supplies for the bus barn. We only went over by $786, and that's pretty minimal in our budget. So yeah, overall, this second page, we kind of stayed right where we needed to be. A lot of the budgets were actually pretty well under what we were expecting, which is good to see.
But you didn't necessarily reduce next year's budget because.
No. No, no, just because you never know what.
Never know what you're into it.
Exactly.
Yeah, any questions on page 2?
I guess I don't know where the credit is due, but certainly some of it, you and Melissa, a budget our size over the course of the year to come this close in all these different categories is, I think, exceptional. So nice job.
Well, thank you. It's been a team effort this last year to learn, and yeah, it'll be another year of learning for me, but
Yeah, this is. I think it, reflects solid understanding of our budget and our needs, but also, we're looking forward for new needs, rough buses, things like that, so we're able to build that in on the front end. So you don't, it's gonna keep us from getting caught.
yeah,
Right.
and that's the biggest thing, is just communicating with all of the department heads to see what are their needs, what are they expecting to, hoping, well, then no one hopes anything breaks down, but what are their expectations of their equipment, and
Yeah.
trying to plan as much as you can.
Have we had the audit yet? Have they been here or is that?
Yes, yep, we had our on-site portion, I think it was the second to last week in July, right around the 20th, I think. So on-site portion is done, they were actually done within 2 days, and I know historically they've been here 3 full days, they actually left early on the second day too, so
Good.
I thought that was good news, but they're still wrapping things up on their end, so we're still in communication with
Sure.
them. I'm expecting it to be fully wrapped up in November.
Other thoughts, questions on the quarterly budget report? We'll move on then to the digital school sign.
So,
Lazy round, well, Kim can do it, tell you. Go ahead, Kim.
me? Okay, sorry. Rosie Coe had approached me with, the following documents that you have here, stating that she was going to present to Viola Methodist Church, the purchase of a new digital sign for Kickapoo schools. She took it to her committee level and they came back and would love to fund half of a digital sign. Kathy Schlick then also put in $8,000 to pay for this digital sign. And so we met as a committee just an hour ago with this information. And I'm, along with DJ, we're going to go forward and find out a little bit more information about the base. As Rosie and I talked, she was thinking our tech ed, Kenny Krings's crew could fix up the base that is already there. Mike Gary had checked out the electrical and he didn't think there would be much cost to get that hooked up again, but we don't have exact numbers. She is still following through at committee levels to get this finalized. I think they have one more meeting before it is agreed upon, as far as the church donating the $15,000 for this digital sign. And I think we're sitting right now where we, as a building and grounds, are going to have another meeting before our next board meeting with more details about all of the costs involved with this, exactly what it would look like, confirming with DOT the placement of the sign. So just in a process of moving forward with the purchase of a digital sign with many donations, and we'll seek more information to find out what it would cost Kickapoo area schools. I know that Rosie was still seeking other people to donate to this fund specific to this. So kind of where we're sitting at right now with those numbers, 8,000 from Kathy, 15,700 something, I think, from the church. And the total that was provided in that invoice was like 31,000, I think. So we'll do a little more work around this, but this is what was presented.
Are we looking at a second bid at all? I mean, or was there one and this was?
Initially there was not, because it was, she was bringing forward a donation in full. But that was talked about at our committee level of building and grounds. So we will seek more. Since, at this point, it's looking like there will be some responsibility from the Kickapoo School District. So with that, we'll move forward with trying to find another bid to accompany this one.
What's the bid threshold policy committee, folks? Wasn't it 5,000 or?
I think
It used to be, but I'm not sure in these new policies, it could be significantly larger, I don't know.
But if we're
this
gonna
is
get another
certainly
one.
big enough, that even if it's a donation, I think it's up to us to
Yep.
be responsible
Yep.
and get at least another bid and.
Did we talk about the digital sign at a? Did I miss this? To me, this is a new idea and I love it.
we talked about it years ago,
Yeah.
probably 3-4 years at least ago,
Okay.
about putting one sometime or other, but that's about all it was. We just.
To me, you see that, there's, it kind of elevates whatever organization, it's.
It would be nice, but I think when we looked at it before, cost wise, it's like, it would be nice, but. To be
It's not a
honest,
necessity.
there were other priorities that were, let's say, a lot closer to the kids' needs and,
Yeah.
student needs and that sort of thing.
I
But
mean,
their donations are wonderful, and I mean, I agree,
When I was a kid and I wanted something for Christmas, I would come up with all these stupid reasons that it was justified, and I kind of like this idea. So, I mean, there's labor savings, right? Whoever trudges out there and replaces letters and.
well, plus we keep it up to date, I mean, it seems like a lot of times now,
Yeah.
yeah. And if somebody wants a message out there quickly, I mean, it's probably gonna be a lot easier.
Well, it's just an informational item, but it's, I like
Sounds like the committee's gonna.
the idea, yeah. Any other? Okay, moving on then, 23-24 summary of the Kickapoo Lafarge spring sports expenses, which I think is in the packet, yeah.
Did anyone have any questions? Otherwise I can just quickly run through.
I guess I just have one on that $5,000. Where is it in the track,
So it's in that bottom left-hand box, probably 2/3 of the way down, it says add yearly facility fee due
I
to
got it,
KS.
yeah.
Yep, and that's just a flat $5,000, it's not a percentage, it's $5,000, that's just added to the top.
So Lafarge is paying us 26,000 a year, is it?
Yes, that's, and we have received all of that money, it all came in July, but like Janet had mentioned earlier, we're gonna try and get more on the schedule of, we finish out the season, we pay the bill, just so we're not waiting until the end of the year to get everything.
I guess just a question, if we ever, have the opportunity to meet with their school board, the joint meeting we've talked about, we could chat about this, but we talked about the co-op program, is Lafarge is satisfied? Are they, I don't know if you've had or anybody who's had discussions, but it seems to be going well on our end. I don't know if they're having any.
I'm guessing Kent would probably be the
Yeah.
point person to know if they're satisfied with everything. I mainly just email this to Megan, their superintendent, and that's honestly just about all the conversation we have about it. I guess I haven't heard anything negative, and in my mind, no news is good news. But we can check with Kent and see if he's heard anything or if they're thinking of any changes.
Yeah.
Kim, have you heard anything?
No, not other than like speaking with Todd Kamlick or some of the different staff, and they seem to really appreciate. I think the bonding that goes on between the kids is great. So yeah, I've heard nothing negative, but haven't really sought out, which would be a great idea though, to get feedback, I guess. So we'll definitely do that.
Yeah, I'm sure if they had a problem, we would.
Yeah.
Nobody.
We're here.
Just don't wanna miss any. All right, very good. Yeah, I miss hearing Kent's voice at our meetings. I remember many times just about ready to fall asleep on his booming voice. All right, next, unless there's any other thoughts on the co-op. Next up, enrollment trends, and if everybody had a chance to look at this, I think very encouraging. The last page in your packet today.
Yeah, always really interesting, especially when, declining enrollment is a hot topic. So keeping you up to par on where we're at now, although these numbers are so incredibly fluid. I think even this week, Marla, you were getting more work with open enrolled in and open enrolled out possibly.
Yeah, that is correct. We're actually getting more open enroll in, and right now the open enroll in is about double of the open enroll out. There's only one student out of, I think it's 5 open enroll out that are new, that just have come about, that actually attended here. 2 of them were homeschooled and they decided to go to Lafarge. One of them has always attended a different school, but they moved in our district, so they want to continue there. So they're not, only one of them out of 5 has actually attended Kickapoo. The rest have like homeschool or moved in or whatever. But I think what are we up to, Andy, about 28 in 4K? And just talking to Melissa Weigel, there's always
4K is 38.
30 or 38, I'm sorry.
37. Well, with the new one, I think it's 38.
And just talking to Melissa Weigel, there's always more that seem to just show up between now and then.
So, 4K is 38.
38.
Remember, we split them into AM and PM type things anyway, right?
Well, they're all day, but
Right,
yeah,
but
Sarah and,
they're only in,
yeah,
with a teacher.
they're not 38 together.
Right.
There's two groups. They're split. There's Sarah's room and,
Yeah, I know, I just, the number is,
yeah, no,
It's
it's
impressive.
nice.
That is a higher number than what we've had in a long time.
We'll take it.
so just looking at that pre-K. 4 years ago, maybe this is COVID, but there was a spike in births in the district, or are some of those kids open enrolling in?
They're open enrolled kids that are part of that.
I think like 10 of them.
Yeah, quite a,
I think like 10 of them enrolled in.
Oh,
Wow.
Really?
It's always good to get open.
Is that right, Marla? I think that
Well,
was
we had
right
to
off
stay.
the bat.
the twins and it's,
I think it's more
it
than
changes.
maybe it's more.
I mean,
think
today
it's
when
more
I,
than that.
and when I came at noon today, there were 3 changes to make to the class list, and tomorrow morning there'll be 2, and then kids are in, kids are out, so it's. Somebody walked in yesterday morning, it's like, hey, we're back, I'm like, great, fill it out, so. That was a 5th grader. 5th grade's up, 1st grade's up to 22 now,
10th grade is pushing 50,
yeah,
Oh, wow.
I think 49, or 50, is it 50?
It might be 50.
I think it's
actually.
50.
Wow.
Yeah, right at 50. That's good.
Can I ask what the top number that's total, what's included? Is that like the aidable number kind of thing, which is the?
What that is I basically took last year's count.
Oh, okay, and
And,
just
um,
adjusted based on the changes.
Yes,
of
it basically took where we ended last year pretty much. There are a few that I was able to put in or take out, well, mostly put in. But, and it's, since I made this, it has changed.
No,
So,
that's
yeah.
good. I
Yeah.
think that's a very reasonable way to do it. I just didn't know if there was some number somewhere that you were.
I just
Grabbing
grabbed
to
kind of
start
what we had
with.
last, the end of last year and go from there.
Good.
Do exchange students count in this or not?
Yes, because we can count exchange students.
Do we have?
I hear we have one,
Thirty.
another one coming,
Yeah.
so I haven't heard on the
Yeah, the-
second one yet. I don't
The
have
one's
it
in
in
there,
yet.
I think, it's coming in, but, so there'll be a couple there.
And do we put a cap on?
We have not, we've never had.
I just,
Yeah, necessarily, yeah,
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 I remember when we had lots of them one year and that was difficult and then,
we started to look at how.
yes,
Their,
the ages.
their
the
credentials a little bit
levels,
more when we
yes.
had some of those groups,
Yeah,
so. it's
I
probably a way
just
to put-
wonder, cause I keep seeing
Yeah,
a couple of them and I'm like,
Yeah.
do I wanna do it again? I don't know yet, if I'm ready yet this year.
no, we've had fewer, but yeah, we did have some years where we had.
Yeah.
We had a lot.
So this is, we've talked every meeting, I think, since I've been on the school board about declining enrollment and budget implications and staffing implications. This is awesome.
Looks good. And I mean, there will be students that probably have,
Okay.
parents have not enrolled them elsewhere, or maybe ones I don't know that they moved yet. But, I mean, right now, they're coming in pretty good, so
This is,
I think we'll be close to last year.
Yeah, it doesn't look like much of a loss.
no, I mean, you look up until 22, 23, the previous, 4 years, we were down 55 students. But the last 2 years, we've been pretty stable. I mean, it's pretty coarse data, of course, but the number of homeschoolers, which was pretty consistent, up to nearly 40, over 40, 20, and now 5. What
And they-
is that? a
They're
COVID?
not all in yet, I believe. I don't know if they've actually rolled over. They have until like, I think it's the end of October to actually enroll in homeschool. So that's all that I have in Homer, the program right now is 5.
And I
But
think
they-
that spike in those middle years was a lot due to COVID.
Yeah, but those students who may end up submitting homeschool, they don't show up as
No.
enrolled here.
No, it's usually that
So
they're
they're not
ones that
gonna-
have continually been homeschooled, so they're
Okay.
not ones that are here.
So that may end up being the same, but it's not gonna subtract from our total.
No, because they probably never attended anyway.
This is great. big spike in open enroll in, I mean, that's gotta be a 15% increase-ish, 16, 17. Any
It was-
explanation?
It
What,
was 121, I think, last time I looked versus like 60, low 60s out.
Yeah, I looked right before the
But
meeting.
121, and then, I mean, there is one in there that applied for open enrollment. I'd be surprised that came just because of the distance. But everyone else has pretty much said their comment, so.
I mean, that's been, open enroll in has been pretty stable. I mean, it started in 2018-19, 105, it vacillated a bit, but last year was 105 again, and now it's 121. That's, I mean, not to break kids down into numbers, that's $160,000-ish that we're gaining. So it'd be nice to understand a little bit about those kids and why their parents chose, and we've talked about that a bit in the past.
A lot of them
I think,
have
I was gonna
previously attended, like the parents have, or they know somebody here.
I think the pre-K, I'm just thinking, I think those pre-K numbers are pretty big, but I know a number of those are families that have come in the last year and then have now gotten their extended family and cousins and the rest of their brothers and sisters, and so I think just knowing off the top of my head, I think we've had an extra 5 or 6 just due to one student coming last year and then
Yeah.
bringing other siblings and cousins and, but those pre-K numbers, if I remember it, when I looked, I thought it was 10 or 11.
Oh, I think it's higher.
So that's
than
a
that. Yeah.
big chunk in there.
How long has it been since we had a pre-K of 38 kids? 4K?
Well, we had last. It's 38, there's 3 kids that didn't go to kindergarten and stayed in preschool, so it's not. Yeah, it's not, but it's a little not deceiving, it's 3 kids, but, cause they were there's 34 kindergartners. So 15 or 14 or 28, so it was, I mean, there were 30 of them last year, 31, so it's, yeah, there's more, but it's not a huge.
Oh, I remember talking like pre-K at 21, 22.
Been a few years back.
No, that's first grade.
There's the one that's in first grade.
First grade is gonna be 22,
Yeah,
then it's, I think it's 26, which would have been 30 if we, 27 if we would have had those 3 kids. And then a couple preschoolers last year moved away. Jameson kid they moved to Arizona, and there's a couple kids out, a couple kids in. Right, it is bigger, just.
yeah, that's fantastic. Well, I'm not gonna bog down. Thanks further as my mind spins. Anybody else have a
It is homework.
thought on that? That's very good to hear. Schedule of meetings on our September meeting. Do we have a date? I assume second.
I'd like to change it to Monday, second Monday, see how county fair and everything and stuff's on Wednesday, so we could change it to second Monday. We'd appreciate it.
The 9th,
And what day is that?
September 9th.
9th.
September, that's fine with me.
Sister's birthday.
Any committees need to meet in the interim?
Let's talk about building and grounds.
Yep, building and grounds will have to meet. Policy, how are we on policy, Marla?
We're okay right now. I don't think, Neola has put out the latest one, probably in September, I think is when we met last year, so there should be something then.
Okay,
And we were gonna try to get on that every 3 months.
Quarterly,
We
yep.
just compiled.
Yep.
Just, okay. All right, so next regular meeting, September 9th, which is a Monday.
Thank you.
building and grounds, do we want to meet or talk about this on email and decide if we want an early morning or do you want to
Yeah,
set it?
let's see what you get back and information about everything and then schedule it after that.
Okay, sounds good.
Hopefully the week of the 26th, cause I think The other 2 weeks are pretty bad. At least for me. I think the fair is the one way too, so.
Yeah, fair would be a bad week, I agree. All right, well, I'll shoot for the 26th week.
It'll be scheduled,
Yeah, so whenever they get all their information back that they need to get
okay.
for the signs and that, so we wait during the meet, so.
All right, then, moving on. Superintendent's report, Kim.
Hi, yeah, so I have been doing a lot of learning around Actively, our Thrill Share. Been engaged in some of the new Title IX training and establishing schedules for everyone to have that training. Our admin team attended the CISA chronic absenteeism, where different professionals from different schools and fire and police departments got together and talked about how we can collaborate and work towards solving this issue with chronic absenteeism amongst all of our students. Met with Janet, talking about our insurance. She's going to be coming in on our first in-service to speak with the staff once again, just continuing to build that education with our staff and providing them feedback on how it is benefiting us as a group. I was inducted into what's called Brave Ed, which really is a focus on character of our students and kind of seeking what is it that we want, what do we wish for our students as they leave Kickapoo, and really talking more about some of those qualities that we want in our citizens and in the people around us and people in leadership. So we'll continue that conversation and bringing that to Kickapoo too. I think we already really basically have it, and it makes us very attractive, but really educating the person as a whole, and not leaving out that character policy. And then some more involvement in vouchers, and Scott and I being contacted by WKBT for some interview opportunities. And just meeting with departments and planning for a really great school year. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Moving on, principals reports then.
I don't know. Basically, it's here. Things are ready to go. A month ago, there was still a lot left, but fall sports are starting and rolling, and in a couple of weeks we'll be going. Test scores, we can't report on them, but they are out, and I think Andy and I would both agree we're pretty happy with how things are looking. So that's more to share later, but just kind of looking at where things are at. Pretty happy with things so far from what we've seen. We have a leadership retreat, an athletics leadership retreat next Monday and Tuesday. Mark Korbinski, he used to be a teacher at Monroe. He is coming to talk, and Brady Ewing from Richland Center is also going to be a guest speaker to come and talk. So basically 2 days, half days working with kids, talking about leadership and kind of going back to what Kim just said with that character part, and trying to develop the whole athlete, not only just in athletics, but as good human beings. So we'll have that, which will be new. Right now, I think we have like 35 kids signed up, so there'll be more, but hopefully that will be good. And the last thing, kind of what Kim said too, tomorrow morning I have the Vernon County Truancy meeting. We meet every 4 years and kind of discuss trends and where things are at and just how things are operating. It's no secret since COVID, attendance at school is a lot less than what it was. And it's been difficult in ways. So trying that meeting tomorrow is basically everybody in the county, the judge, the district attorney, the sheriff's department, all the schools, the social workers, everybody to really kind of discuss that aspect of really trying to get kids to school and the importance of that, and how we focus on that, and any changes that we can make as a county to really put an emphasis on that. So That's what I have. Any questions?
Just popped in my head, is Vernon County Teen Court utilized?
Yep, they're part of it too. Yep, yep. And that is one aspect that we utilize for sure. So. All right.
People have been in the building. We have the Act 20 training that we have to, all the teachers have to participate in for, well, it's K3, but we did pre-K through 3 as we completed that on Monday morning. Some Act 20 stuff, just because we talked about it before, the DPI picked the screener and they picked Ames Web, which that's not gonna cost us anything. We just have to teach everybody how to use it. And then they didn't pick FastBridge, and we already have a contract for FastBridge, but they did choose FastBridge as the diagnostic you can use. How effective FastBridge is as a diagnostic, we kind of got to figure out and talk about, but basically what will happen is, well, because the DPI didn't sign the contract in time, it won't start in the beginning of school year. It'll start in January, when they actually will have the screener ready, so that does us no good. So we'll still do FastBridge in the fall to get our data to find out where we are. And then what's going to happen is any child that scores below the 25th percentile on the screener will be notified, their parents have to be notified. Well, first, they then have to take the diagnostic test within 10 days. And then their parents need to be notified, and their parents have to be provided with the individualized reading plan to make sure that child catches up. DPI said in June that they would have out the an example of what the individualized reading plan would be. I just heard at our reading thing that they just looked at it and it should be out at the end of August. So they're right on schedule. There's some stuff, the way the law is written about if a child isn't there at the end of 3rd grade, what's supposed to happen? It's not supposed to be retention, and it won't be, but the way it's worded, it makes it sound like it should be. So, like we talked about before, I don't have any problem with Act 20 and putting the focus on reading for kids. I just wish they would have had all their ducks in a row before they did it, which hard to believe DPI did something then it's not ready to go. But as soon as the stuff comes out with the individualized reading plan, we'll make sure we have it set up for us. It's what we were doing last year anyway. So it's not, to me, it's not gonna really change anything. We already look at FastBridge and say these kids are struggling below our benchmarks, and we have an individualized reading plan. We meet with Sherry and Tracy and the classroom teacher, and we make sure that they're getting the services they need. It doesn't really change anything. It just changes the hoops we have to jump through to do that. So when we have that meeting, I'll make sure that we have whatever, evidently the example plan is 4 pages, so that'd be perfect. You would think they could just maybe narrow that down a little bit, but we'll see what comes out. It'll just be a matter of filling that out and making sure the parents have it so they understand that. But that's kind of, when you hear anything about Act 20, that's kind of where we're at. And we'll just go through whatever they're, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like we'll jump through the hoops, but we'll do what they're asked. I mean, what we're asked. Yeah, that's kind of, I'm sure Dan's getting the halls ready, so nobody will be able to come in the next couple of days here once he gets that, and then it'll be even more teachers in next week, I'm sure.
Can I ask one question?
Yep.
When you said the 25th percentile, they're below that, is that like a statewide 25th percentile?
Yep.
Is that, okay,
That's the way it sounds. Yep, if you're below this percentile rank, this is where, then you
okay.
will
I
have
didn't
that.
know if they had different classifications or. if it's-
No, and that Aaron said too, they changed, and we'll talk about it more. They changed how they labeled the state test from, it was basic and proficient, and
Yes, yeah.
they changed the names.
To meeting expectations. Remember how we had that conversation
yeah.
about how they were meeting expectations, if they weren't proficient, so to speak? They now changed it to meeting expectations, so
And
it'll
we're
be
not,
interesting how it,
yeah, we're not sure
shakes
where
out
they changed the cut
percent.
scores or anything, so,
but
and then,
that is one change.
yeah.
Interesting.
So just thinking about that, 25th percentile, what does that mean? Literally, because the way it's.
Well, they're gonna take,
Like the bottom,
Out of
yeah,
100 kids.
out of
right,
100
bottom.
kids, the bottom,
bottom 20.
if you scored when they did it.
So there's no
baseline.
standard,
No.
it's just the
Well-
25, so 1 out of 4 kids are gonna.
Are
No.
they defined as that?
No, yeah, there'll be a cut score at the 25th percentile, because it's, the Ames Web is used throughout the United States, so they have enough data where they'll say that this is. Out of all the kids, if they score,
But the
15
point
or
is,
below.
there's gotta be 1 out of 4 that's below that percentile,
Right.
or that percentile
Yeah.
wouldn't have been there.
right,
So
no, well,
it would be better if they,
In the state, but not necessarily in our school.
right,
It
right,
just seems like that's not a very standards based.
it's not, I mean, to me, it would be better if it was like some of the things in the technical college system where you describe what the task is and what, you know, what they need for a certain
You're
job
gonna do
and
this,
stuff.
this and
And
this.
this is it, if you have 100% of your students over it, that's fine, you don't then try to figure out which
right.
Yeah.
1 out of 4 is gonna have to be called.
Can you tell DPI we disagree with this?
Sure.
If I could get
Well, you're
DPI to
right.
reply to any emails, I would be happy to do
Yeah.
that. Any questions? Any other questions?
So it seems like, if I'm understanding, and you live this, Andy, and I just kind of get nuggets every month, but what's been added is so they're screened.
Yep.
And then what's been added is the diagnostic tool. Does that mean?
Yes. Yeah, not really, because we were already using it, and
Not the one we want.
what, the nice thing is that the gentleman that we're working with through CISA, who put on the training, is really knowledgeable, and he has, what we talked about on Monday morning is, and having used FastBridge for a number of years as a classroom teacher, it'll show you where kids are, but it's not necessarily where you can drill down on the data and it'll say, he struggles with blends, or they struggle with long vowels. It doesn't go down into the, or onset rhymes, or it doesn't dig in deep enough to, as a classroom teacher, to really look at it and go, okay, these are the 3 skills that I need to work on to help this kid get there. I mean, you can, as a teacher, you can figure it out, but it would be nice to be able to give, if the diagnostic really did what the diagnostic said, you should be able to click on it and it'd say, he needs help on these 3 skills. And then in your win time, you know, when we have that extra time, that Tracy would work on those 3 skills. Right now, when we figure it out, even using FastBridge, as you look at it and you talk about it, and Sherry and Tracy will say, well, here's where I think he's struggling. And talking to Jim, the gentleman from CISA, he's given us some ideas of other things we could possibly use that are more at a granular level to get right where kids are on certain skills or what deficit they may have. So that's gonna be a little bit of an exploration, and then that creates a whole nother bigger picture, because I mean, all the data that we share with you that we've used is FastBridge. Well, the nice thing about using that, even if it isn't a granular level, it's, I mean, it is a screener right now because it helps us see where kids are, and we can compare over years the things we have tried to see if it has helped improve kids' achievement. I don't really want to go away from FastBridge right now because we have some data to see if what we're doing is changing.
Yeah.
And Katie, we paid for FastBridge because we still are gonna use that in 4th, 5th, and 6th and upstairs. So there's value in there, but the other thing I don't wanna do is, I don't wanna give a 1st grader an Ames Web screener, and then I don't wanna give them a FastBridge screener, and then I don't wanna give them another
Yeah.
What are we doing? I mean, we're not learning it, we're just,
Picking time.
yeah, they're gonna scream, yeah, great, I'll take another one of these. So, and I don't know, I think it'll all get fleshed out. I think as we go through this and what other schools are using and what the state allows and doesn't allow, and I think there's going to be some school districts where there's going to be a huge amount of pushback when a whole bunch of their kids are struggling, and then, you know, that's another discussion. You know, like we said, you know, last year, class going in the 2nd grade, yeah, they struggled. Or like we talked about the 5th grade last year. Yeah, there could be quite a few letters we have to send home. And it's not that the parents don't know that, but it's going to be another layer of making sure we explain that to, okay, this is where your kid's at, nothing's really changed, these are the steps. I need to shut up. But I think that's what the biggest thing with Act 20 is they want to make sure that kids are getting what they need to succeed.
Yep.
We've been doing that for the 28 years
This is
or
like
years I've been
all
here.
schools now, so-
Yeah, now all schools have to do that. They're gonna make you jump through those hoops, which isn't inherently wrong, but part of me is afraid it's gonna take people's time away from teaching to fill this out and do this and send this stuff, but we'll see how it goes.
Any questions, comments for Andy or Aaron? Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on then, we will convene the closed session
Kick him out.
according to state statute 19.85, paragraph 1, part C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, performance, evaluation data of any public employee over which government body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. The purpose tonight being first grade teacher position, Spanish contract, the para educator positions, superintendent performance evaluation, and bus driver. I'll entertain a motion to go to closed
I'll
session.
make a motion to convene closed session.
I'll second.
Motion by Earl, second by Janet, and we will have a roll call vote.
Peggy McCormick, Bo Schrader, Rich James,
Yep.
Isaac Wallace, Earl Wallace,
Yes.
Janet Mathis, Scott Walter.
Yes.
Get that early when I'm here by myself. Everybody's in Norway, I'm like, what the heck?
Liberty,
Well, I guess this is-
we good, Marla?
Yes, we are.
All right, welcome back. Earl, you wanna run us through some?
Well, first grade teacher, Dawn
Lion,
Lyon,
Lion, Lyon, Lion.
Robert.
okay.
First graders are gonna love it.
teacher, okay.
So, motion by Earl, second by Isaac to approve Dawn Lyon as first grade teacher. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
To do the joint Spanish teacher contract with Lafarge for Nicole Olson.
I'll second.
Motion by Earl, second by Isaac again to approve the joint contract with Lafarge to hire Nicole Paulson, a Spanish teacher. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Para educator positions, we have two, is it Kyla Montgomery and Sarah Bender?
Fowler.
Bowler, Bowler, okay.
I'll second that.
Motion by Earl, second by Janet to approve hire of the two para educators. All in favor? Opposed?
I'm gonna abstain on this one.
Peggy abstains.
And a motion to approve Laura Hanson pending her testing for school bus driver.
Second.
Motion by Earl, second by Rich to hire Laura Hanson as bus driver. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. This board this evening, thank you, Isaac. Motion by Isaac, second by
I'll second.
Earl to adjourn for the evening. All in favor? Aye, thanks, everybody.
I'm sure she'll be back, I'm sure she's.